The old school advice: go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, get out of debt, and invest in the stock market for the long term is completely outdated. Think about it. Why would you save money when governments are printing trillions of dollars? The gap between the ultra-rich and everyone else is widening every day. But it's not just about money. You need to step back and understand the bigger picture. Inside each of us, there's a version that's poor, a version that's middle class, and a version that's rich. The middle class part wants security, a steady paycheck, a house, a car. The poor part wants survival. But the rich part thinks differently. It seeks opportunities, risks, and control over money. The problem is, we're never taught this. Society teaches you to go to school, get a job, and follow the paycheck. They never teach you how to truly get rich. Let me introduce new characters for this story. Meet Alex. Alex grew up in a modest household, always following the conventional path: school, college, and eventually a stable job. But Alex's uncle, Marcus, was different. Marcus never encouraged Alex to accept a paycheck blindly. In fact, he often said, "The paycheck is one of the most damaging tools you can accept in your life. It makes you a slave to money." Marcus's advice sounded harsh at first, but it shaped Alex in ways nothing else could. While most people seek the security of a steady income, Marcus pushed Alex toward entrepreneurship, not just as a career choice, but as a mindset. He said, "If your business fails, try again. Don't rely on someone else's company, paycheck, or rules. The world needs entrepreneurs, not employees." This idea hit Alex hard during the last day at a corporate job. Alex had just received a bonus check, a substantial one, around $30,000. It should have been a day of celebration. Instead, Alex felt a strange mix of excitement and unease. Another colleague, Jordan, approached and said, "You'll be back here." "You'll fail," Alex replied firmly. "Maybe you failed and came back, but I will fail differently, and I will never come back to the old way." That attitude defined the beginning of a real entrepreneurial journey. Marcus often said that having no paycheck is a blessing in disguise. Without a guaranteed income, you're forced to become hungrier, smarter, and more resilient. You discover your true character. Will you cheat, steal, or will you find integrity, perseverance, and creative solutions to your problems? Entrepreneurship is as much a test of your character as it is a business pursuit. Too many people obsess over the short term. What will happen to me? Alex learned to always look at the big picture. Life is cyclical. When bad things happen, good things follow, but you must prepare for whatever comes next. If you expect the next 20 years to resemble the last 20, you're in for a harsh reality check. Alex realized that just like checking the expiration date on milk, people need to check the expiration date of their knowledge. School teaches certain things, but knowledge doubles every 18 months. This means what you learned 5 years ago might already be obsolete. Alex's mindset shifted from relying on a traditional education to constantly learning how to adapt and innovate. Most people are taught to save money, but Alex learned a counterintuitive lesson from Marcus: savers lose, borrowers win. Governments print money. Inflation and taxes reduce the value of cash. Those who work solely for a paycheck are taxed heavily. But debt, when used intelligently, becomes a tool for wealth creation. Marcus explained that debt and taxes, when understood and leveraged correctly, make the rich richer and the poor poorer. After returning from a challenging period of uncertainty, Alex received another piece of advice from Marcus: go to school not for a job, but to learn how to invest, leverage debt, and understand taxes. That knowledge is what separates the rich from everyone else. Alex followed this advice, diving into entrepreneurship and real estate investment. By using intelligent debt strategies, Alex acquired properties with minimal upfront capital, leveraging banks to multiply investments. Here's a critical insight Alex learned: the 1% doesn't work for money, they make money work for them. Unlike employees who are taxed heavily on income, entrepreneurs and investors learn to control how and where money flows. When Alex made $1 million in a business deal, that million was invested immediately, multiplied through smart debt strategies, and protected from heavy taxation. The system of wealth creation was completely different from the one taught in schools. Marcus often reminded Alex that mindset is everything. A middle-class person fears losing a job. A poor person fears survival. But a true entrepreneur focuses on internal Control the ability to respond to external circumstances, regardless of the economy. Whether the market crashes or inflation soars, the entrepreneur's mindset remains focused on opportunity, growth, and resilience. Most self-employed people think they are entrepreneurs, but they are not. They still operate under old rules, paying high taxes, trading time for money, and fearing failure. Real entrepreneurs understand the nuances of leverage, debt, and taxes. They create systems, acquire assets, and innovate, always keeping the internal economy strong. Alex also discovered another critical lesson. Mistakes are not failures, they are signals of missing knowledge. Every setback became a learning opportunity. A weak internal mindset leads to fear, procrastination, and poor decisions. But a strong mindset transforms obstacles into stepping stones. Alex realized that the first job of an entrepreneur is to control the mind, not the market. Society has been built around employees, but the future rewards those who think differently. Alex learned to always see both sides, challenges and opportunities. External economies fluctuate, but internal economies, your mindset, your skills, your resilience determine ultimate success. Entrepreneurs control what they can, adapt to what they cannot, and thrive in any environment. At the heart of this journey is the realization that traditional advice is obsolete. School, a stable job, working hard, saving, and relying on a paycheck no longer guarantee security. Instead, mastering financial knowledge, leveraging debt intelligently, understanding taxes, and cultivating an entrepreneurial mindset are the keys to long-term wealth. When Alex truly committed to the entrepreneurial path, the first realization was that the world operates on different rules for different people. The rules that govern employees, the steady paycheck, overtime, retirement plans, and job security don't apply to real entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs play by a different set of rules entirely. And understanding this is what separates the successful from the frustrated. Marcus often said, "Alex, it's not about the business you start. It's about the mindset you cultivate. Business is only a tool. Skills, knowledge, and mental resilience are the real assets." This idea resonated deeply with Alex. It became clear that the first challenge wasn't finding a product to sell, a market to serve, or even the perfect business model. It was conquering fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, and fear of financial uncertainty. The most valuable lesson Alex learned early on was that failure is not the enemy, it's a teacher. Many aspiring entrepreneurs think failing is the end of the world. But Marcus framed failure as a necessary step to growth. If you want to see who you really are, take away your paycheck, take away your safety net. Then you'll discover your strengths, your weaknesses, and the kind of character you have. Alex's first business attempt was a modest venture, a small online consulting service. The initial months were brutal. Money was tight, clients were inconsistent, and every day presented a new problem to solve. There were nights Alex couldn't sleep, worried about rent, bills, and how to keep the business afloat. But each challenge was an opportunity to learn. Every obstacle taught Alex lessons that a conventional job never could. Marcus's philosophy was clear. Entrepreneurs don't work for money. They create systems that make money work for them. Alex learned to stop thinking about earning a paycheck and started thinking about building assets, leveraging debt wisely, and minimizing tax burdens legally. Debt, in particular, was a concept that transformed Alex's thinking. Growing up, debt had always been painted as dangerous, something to avoid at all costs. But Marcus explained the subtle truth: debt itself is neutral. It's how you use it that determines whether it enslaves you or empowers you. The rich borrow to acquire appreciating assets. The poor borrow for consumption. Learn to borrow for growth, Alex. That's the difference. This insight led Alex to explore real estate investment. Instead of saving for decades to buy a property outright, Alex learned to leverage debt strategically. By putting down a fraction of the cost and borrowing from the bank at favorable rates, Alex could control multiple properties, generate cash flow, and increase net worth exponentially. The same principles applied to other forms of investment businesses, intellectual property, even creative ventures. The key was always control over resources and minimizing personal risk exposure. Taxes were another revelation. Most people, even those making six-figure incomes, pay enormous amounts in taxes. Alex discovered that entrepreneurs and investors use the tax code as a tool. By structuring investments properly, by using corporations, trusts, and legal deductions, it was possible to reduce tax burdens significantly. Marcus would say, "Alex, remember this. The rich make money and then shield it from unnecessary taxation. The poor and middle class earn money, and the government takes a huge portion, often leaving them financially weaker than they started." Another lesson Marcus instilled was the importance of seeing opportunity where others see chaos. When economic downturns hit, most people panic. They sell assets, hoard cash, and wait for safety. But Alex learned that downturns are actually windows of opportunity. Real estate prices drop, talent becomes available, and competitors falter. While fear controls the masses, opportunity rewards those who remain calm, educated, and ready to act. Alex also realized that entrepreneurship is more than numbers, it's about mindset. The poor mindset worries, complains, and blames the system. The middle-class mindset seeks stability and predictability. The rich mindset takes responsibility, seeks education, and embraces calculated risk. Marcus's repeated mantra was, "Alex, the first wealth you need to acquire is mental wealth. Without a strong internal mindset, external wealth will crumble." This mental framework allowed Alex to face challenges with confidence. A failed business wasn't the end, it was a learning module. Rejections from investors or clients weren't personal, they were lessons. Economic crises weren't threats, they were tests. Every event, whether positive or negative, became a chance to grow stronger, smarter, and more resilient. A key turning point came when Alex realized the difference between being self-employed and being an entrepreneur. Many people think they are entrepreneurs when they run small one-person businesses. But Marcus clarified, "Alex, self-employed people trade hours for dollars. True entrepreneurs create systems, leverage others' time, money, and skills, and scale their impact. They don't just work harder, they work smarter." This insight led Alex to rethink the structure of the business. Instead of doing everything personally, sales, marketing, product delivery, Alex built a team, delegated tasks, and created automated processes. The goal was to make money independent of personal labor. This is the hallmark of entrepreneurship: freedom from time for money dependence. Alex also learned to embrace discomfort. Most people seek comfort and certainty. Entrepreneurs, by contrast, intentionally move toward challenges. They face uncertainty, learn new skills, and grow through adversity. Every obstacle became a stepping stone to higher achievement. Marcus often reminded Alex, "If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. Comfort is the enemy of progress." Another lesson revolved around long-term thinking versus short-term gratification. Society encourages immediate rewards, a nice car, a fancy gadget, or instant gratification. But true entrepreneurs focus on long-term compounding skills, assets, relationships, and knowledge. Alex invested time in learning, mentoring, and building networks. These investments didn't pay off instantly but created exponential value over time. Alex also discovered the importance of internal versus external focus. External economies, stock markets, real estate markets, inflation fluctuate and are mostly uncontrollable. But internal economy, the mindset, discipline, knowledge, and skills can be controlled. Marcus emphasized, "Alex, if you master your internal economy, the external economy becomes your playground. If your internal economy is weak, the external economy will crush you." Through these experiences, Alex saw how obsolescence affects traditional advice. Going to school, getting a job, saving money, and expecting a comfortable retirement no longer guarantees security. The world has changed. Money is now created digitally. Inflation erodes savings, and taxes penalize traditional earners. Only those who understand modern financial rules, entrepreneurial thinking, and smart leverage can thrive. Alex's journey also highlighted the social and psychological aspects of wealth. Many employees feel trapped by society's expectations. They fear losing a job, failing, or being judged. Entrepreneurs, however, embrace freedom of thought, financial independence, and responsibility. They don't wait for permission, they take action. They don't fear mistakes, they use them as lessons. Marcus also taught Alex about resilience and public perception. Society often mocks or fears entrepreneurs because they defy conventions. People label them reckless, unrealistic, or irresponsible. But Alex learned to tune out criticism and focus on the vision. Successful entrepreneurs are judged by results, not opinions. Mental toughness, confidence, and a commitment to growth became Alex's armor.